Just go, Olivia. No need for lawyers or paperwork, Marcus said casually as he watched me pack downstairs. His new, much younger girlfriend, Hannah, chuckled while she rearranged our furniture, my furniture. I stayed calm, neatly folding my clothes. No legal separation, no formal divorce, I asked, my voice even. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. What's the point? You've got your job, I've got mine. Hannah and I are starting fresh. Lawyers would just complicate things. I'm Olivia Parker, 42, 15 years of marriage, a stable home, a life I thought was solid, until it wasn't. Marcus glanced down at the expensive watch on his wrist, the one I gave him for our 10th anniversary. You don't have any leverage, he said. The house and cars are in my name. Your government job pays well. You'll be fine. That government job, if only he had known. I zipped up my suitcase and took one last look around. Hannah's perfume lingered in the air. Her handbag sat smugly on my side of the bed. You're taking this better than I expected, Marcus remarked, clearly expecting tears or begging. I smiled, thinking back to how I really discovered the affair, not through lipstick stains or late-night texts, but in a far more interesting way. I've learned to choose my battles, I said, though I'm surprised you don't want anything in writing. He shrugged. Why bother? You move out, Hannah moves in, that's that. No paper trail. I almost laughed at the irony. Downstairs, Hannah was already unpacking her life into mine. She barely acknowledged me as I passed. I left a few things in the study. I'll come by tomorrow to get them, I said. Whatever, just text first, Marcus replied, already absorbed in his shiny new life. I wheeled my suitcase to the car, pausing to look back at the house he thought he owned. I pulled out my phone and typed. Everything ready for tomorrow. Target confirmed. No legal documentation. Proceeding as planned. The response came instantly. Understood. Team briefed. 9 a.m. Sharp. Marcus never questioned what I really did for a living. Never paid attention to how his investment portfolio always outperformed others. Never noticed how I quietly managed everything. As I drove away, my phone buzzed again. Additional evidence collected. Operation confirmed. Tomorrow, Marcus would finally learn the truth. That the wife he betrayed had been protecting him all along. But not anymore. At exactly 9 a.m., Justice would knock on his door, wearing body armor and holding a federal warrant. The next morning, I sat in an unmarked FBI surveillance van, sipping coffee and watching live feeds of my old house. Marcus's routine hadn't changed. 7:45 a.m., kitchen lights on, Hannah attempting his favorite breakfast. 8:15 a.m., Marcus in the shower, then fixing his hair. 8:45 a.m., straightening his tie in the hallway mirror. Targets preparing to leave, Agent Torres said beside me. All teams in position, came the reply through the comms. Everything was set. You okay? Torres asked gently. She knew this wasn't just another operation for me. Better than okay, I replied, watching through the feed as Hannah kissed Marcus goodbye. It felt surreal being on this side of the takedown. For 3 years, I had quietly built a case against Marcus's firm. What began as a routine investigation spiraled into uncovering fraud, money laundering, and federal-level financial crimes. No wonder Marcus had wanted to avoid paperwork. It wasn't just about hiding an affair, he was shielding a criminal empire. At 8:55 a.m., Marcus stepped out of the house, briefcase in hand, still smug, still believing he was untouchable. He paused to admire his reflection in the tinted window of his Mercedes, straightening his silk tie, one bought with stolen money. All teams, ready, Torres said over comms. He's not known to be violent, but he may try to destroy evidence. Move quickly. Marcus got into the car he insisted was in his name only. He once claimed it was for tax purposes. Now I knew it was to keep it safe from seizure. Target is moving, Torres confirmed. Team 1, to the house. Team 2, prepare to intercept at the office. My eyes stayed on Hannah, still inside, cleaning up breakfast in my kitchen, in my old robe. She had no clue that her fairy tale was about to collapse. 9 a.m. sharp. The house was surrounded. The doorbell rang. Hannah answered, confused and barefoot, mascara still smudged from the night before. FBI, we have a search warrant, the lead agent announced. Confusion turned to panic. What? No, this has to be some kind of mistake. No mistake, ma'am, please step aside. Across town, flashing lights lit up behind Marcus's car. He slowed and pulled over. Target has stopped, came the report. Moving in now. My phone buzzed. Marcus, what did you do? I didn't answer. I watched instead as agents closed in, weapons ready. Marcus stepped out, hands raised. The power suit he wore looked suddenly small, empty. Back at the house, Hannah sat trembling on the couch while agents combed through every room. They knew where to look. I had provided the layout, the hidden safes code, and the paper trail. "We've found the first stash," someone reported. "Hidden safe in the study, just like Agent Parker said." I allowed myself a small smile. Marcus always admired my attention to detail. He just never realized I was using it against him. Torres glanced at me, her voice low. "You knew the whole time?" I nodded. "Found the first red flag 3 years ago. Started collecting quietly. He never thought I understood his business well enough to be dangerous." "And the mistress?" "Hannah, discovered her 3 months ago. Not the first, but definitely the final straw." My phone buzzed again, this time from Marcus's lawyer. "We need to talk, immediately." Of course they wanted to talk now. They were just beginning to understand what Marcus never did. No shared accounts. No property in both names. No divorce paperwork. Not to protect him. To make the fall clean. Effortless. Mine wasn't an exit. It was an execution, by the book. It was easier this way, for the FBI to seize everything cleanly. On the surveillance feed, Hannah was being led out of the house, tears streaming down her face. She had thought she was stepping into a perfect life. Instead, she was about to become a key witness in a federal investigation. Target secure. Moving to Phase 2, an agent announced. Phase 2, the raid on Marcus's office. In moments, his colleagues would discover that their top-performing investment banker was a fraud. His clients would learn that the promises of high returns were nothing more than an elaborate lie. And Marcus? He was about to learn that the woman he thought was just his wife had been quietly preparing for this moment for years. Another text buzzed across my screen, this time from Hannah. "Did you know about this?" I finally replied. "Yes, now you understand why Marcus didn't want a paper trail between us." Torres gave my shoulder a quick pat. "You ready? They need you at the office for evidence analysis." I stood, adjusting the FBI jacket that had been hanging in my closet all along. "Let's go," I said. "Time to show them what a government job really looks like." 6 months later, I sat quietly in the federal courthouse, watching Marcus shuffle into the courtroom in his orange jumpsuit. Gone were the tailored suits, the swagger, the smug confidence. The evidence I had spent 3 years collecting had done more than expose him, it brought down an entire firm built on deceit. Hannah, desperate to avoid prosecution, had flipped almost immediately. She turned out to be surprisingly helpful, offering detailed accounts of meetings, conversations, and inconsistencies she'd once brushed off. She had no idea she'd been living in the middle of a federal crime scene. "All rise." The judge entered. Marcus looked up and finally saw me. For the first time since his arrest, our eyes met. His face tightened with the weight of realization, the shock, the regret. He finally understood just how deeply he had underestimated me. The sentencing didn't take long. 15 years. 1 for every year of our marriage. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the courtroom. The judge didn't hold back, condemning Marcus's calculated betrayal of financial trust and his willful abuse of privilege and position. When it was over, I stepped into the courthouse hallway. Torres was waiting, coffee in hand. 15 years, she said, handing it over, plus full asset forfeiture. The restitution team's already returning funds to his victims. I nodded, thinking of the house, our house, now government property, scheduled for auction. Hannah had moved back in with her parents, her dreams of a luxury life shattered, along with her public image. Agent Parker. I turned. Marcus's lawyer was approaching. He wants to speak with you, if you're willing. I almost declined, but curiosity edged out hesitation. Minutes later, I sat across from Marcus in a sterile conference room. 2 guards stood just outside. He spoke the moment I sat down. Why didn't you tell me? His voice cracked with disbelief. All that time, you knew what I was doing. You could have warned me. I let out a soft laugh. I did warn you, Marcus, you just never listened. He frowned, searching his memory. Remember all those times I questioned your strategies? When I suggested more transparent reporting, cleaner audits, I tilted my head. You told me I couldn't possibly understand, that finance was too complex for someone with a government job. He winced. I never imagined your job. No, I said evenly, you never imagined me at all. You never even asked what I actually did, never cared. You assumed I was some pencil-pushing bureaucrat in a cubicle. I leaned forward slightly, voice calm. You assumed wrong. When did you know about everything? He asked. 3 years ago, I answered calmly. That big client you landed, the one with the offshore accounts, that's when I started building the case. I could have had you arrested back then, but I needed to understand the full scale of what you were doing. He leaned back, the weight of truth slowly sinking in. And Hannah? I nodded. She made the choice easy. She showed me it was time to stop protecting someone who never protected me. A guard stepped forward, signaling the visit was over. As I stood, Marcus's voice followed, softer than I'd ever heard it. I'm sorry, Olivia, not just for Hannah, for everything. I paused at the door, then turned slightly. I know, I said, but sometimes, sorry just isn't enough. Outside, spring had begun to bloom. I walked with Torres back toward the office. A new case awaited. A new beginning was already unfolding. Life had changed, but in the best way. No more lies. No more silence. No more sacrificing myself for someone who never saw my worth. As we neared the building, Torres glanced at me. The team's taking me out tonight. Celebration for the conviction. You should come. I smiled and checked my phone. A text from my sister, dinner plans for next week. Another from a friend, hiking this weekend. My life had stretched beyond survival. It was full now, real. Count me in, I replied. That evening, surrounded by colleagues who'd become friends, I raised a glass to justice, and to freedom. Someone asked, do you regret not turning him in sooner? I shook my head. No, everything happened exactly when it needed to. And it had. Marcus's arrest had uncovered more than just his crimes, it blew open an entire web of financial corruption. The case earned me a promotion. The respect of colleagues who had no idea how personal the investigation really was. And most importantly, it gave me back my voice, my freedom. The house would be sold. The stolen money returned to its rightful owners. Marcus would have 15 years to think, plenty of time. As for Hannah, last I heard she'd enrolled in community college. Maybe something good would come of all this after all. And me? I was right where I belonged. My work mattered. My voice carried weight. My future finally looked like mine. Sometimes, revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes, it's about restoration, of self, of truth, of justice. And sometimes, it's simply about showing the world, and yourself, who you've been all along. The next morning, I walked into my office. A fresh stack of case files sat waiting on my desk. Another fraud to investigate. Another chance to protect people from predators like Marcus. I smiled, remembering his words from what felt like another lifetime. No need for legal papers. He was right. We didn't need divorce papers.